As a museum, did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair.
I deserve an answer to that.
Hey, I'm just going to set the people up here real quick, Brix. Hold on, because you let me know something.
Headquarters should be shut down.
For
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
Vertical.
Anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Put that
Simply
link in there
this.
for him.
If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating
Anybody that needs to
credibility
tune
of men
into
and
the
women at
vertical
FBI.
versus
I
horizontal,
stood with them.
I have given you the option.
Against me, that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely
He's
unfair.
putting them peas up in
and
their
I will
place.
have you reminded that I have been
Quoting his own words.
Ooh.
September of 2024. It is his own words. It is not
Ooh.
some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said himself.
On the
Facts
podcast.
matter.
You forget that you had 3 minutes in the next round to say what you just said.
Okay, I'll say him again.
Okay. Before I call Lee.
Mr. Chair, just
You
parliamentary
forgot,
inquiry. It was
I don't know,
on
what
time.
are you
Wasn't
talking about?
disputing any of the debate, but
Was
have that
in this,
documented
and I
as
just
the
thought y'all
time of the
might get a
second
kick
round.
out of watching this for just a second.
If
Just
the
a
amendment
second.
goes over,
Just give him a
that was
minute.
Actually, 10 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Shit is
I'm
hilarious.
not sure that I want to.
Welcome to Purge the BS, guys. And they purging some BS down there today, and I just think it's worth tuning into. Don't nobody watch this stuff.
You're a wise
They
man,
watch
Mr.
it like
Chair.
if we was down there, we could clown out in the back room or the back of the room, then people would watch it. So this is what we do here on the tube. You hear them? They laughing down there. They getting clowned down there. Stop it.
Mr. Chairman, I'm unlike Senator
Mr.
Patel.
Chairman, I don't know what this.
I want an extra 3 minutes.
Well,
Now, my friend.
Oh,
Senator
he wants an
Patel,
extra 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And he is not playing about
here
that.
what you're saying is the chairman wasn't a very good chairman by not shutting her up. But I've gone through this before, and I think I know how to handle it. And get
Well, I
this
think
done.
you're.
I think we need to take it outside.
I'm not going to say that for the record. But if you're going to let somebody else.
gonna let him talk. I wanna talk.
My extra 3 minutes.
Well,
I
let's
want my
see-
3
let's
minutes.
see if it's abused
Now they're going to
by
spend
anybody
3
else.
minutes arguing about 3
I'm
minutes.
just telling you, I'm going to abuse it.
This shit is
Well, I'm
ridiculous.
not going to let you abuse it.
You're a good man, Mr. Chairman.
Before I go to Lee, I want to put a record statement in the record from 56 former FBI agents wrote to this committee to support this nominee. Quote, never has the FBI faced such an urgent and compelling need for comprehensive reform as it does today.
What time is it? Hold
Mr.
on.
Patel
All right, I'll
has
give it like
proven
2 more minutes. I'm sorry. Like I said, I was
breadth
tuned into
of
it.
experience required
I'll get to
address these
I get to it.
challenges.
I'll
His
get to it.
leadership, expertise, and vision made full support of Kash Patel's nomination. Any objection? So ordered. Mr. Lee.
Mr. Patel, while we're talking about your awards, let's talk about the cowards in uniform comment for a moment, can we?
Please.
Would you like to tell us what that was? Put it in context, help the committee understand what that was about.
I think it's important. Thank you, Senator. During that time on January 6th, I was serving as Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense. But as you know, the law requires a request before the deployment of that guard. That request did not come in until the afternoon of January 6th. Once that request came in, this unfortunately, as has been confirmed by his own testimony, I believe, the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, failed to immediately deploy the National Guard and instead took a break to speak to media and make personal phone calls. That endangered the safety of you and your colleagues.
He said he called
If you
his
look
girl
at
or
the
something.
Biden Inspector General report, we at the Department of Defense authorized the fastest cold start of the National Guard since World War II and the largest occupation since the American Civil War. And the Biden Justice Department said that we, including myself, as Chief of Staff, when it came to the deployment and employment of the National Guard, acted swiftly and without undue delay.
So that's what you were talking about. And that's why you had the reference to the UCMJ. Tell us what that means.
The Uniform Code of Military Justice is for uniform officers who betray the code of justice and also act inappropriately. And I thought any delay to have the National Guard arrive on scene here must be called out, whether it was a fellow Republican or not, especially someone under my auspices running the Department of Defense.
Okay, so moments ago when Senator Durbin displayed a chart with that quote, there was a reference in part of it to the UCMJ. That's what it was referring to.
Yes, sir.
Those were the cowards in uniform. Those people who didn't do what they were supposed to do, and a lot of people were put in danger.
Oh, this
as a
guy's
result.
trying to bail him out. That's
Okay,
cool.
thank
I don't
you.
know. He
That's
must be an
very good to
ally.
know.
The
I
guy
do find
bailed
it
him out, I guess.
significant that we've heard all kinds of
Of
aspersions
bullshit.
cast in your
Say it.
direction by
Say it.
people who do not know you, by people who do not share your worldview,
They
by
not
people
like us.
who do not share your commitment to the Constitution or your commitment to public service. I find it astounding that they're willing to say this amidst such great ignorance, and I find it equally heartening that the 56 former FBI officials who know you best, who have worked with you, who actually know who you are, who actually share your view of the Constitution, of the view that you ought to be a law enforcement agency and not surmising that.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the Fourth Amendment for a moment. The Fourth Amendment tells us that in order for the government to breach your expectation of privacy relative to want to seize you, they've got to get a warrant. And that warrant has to describe with particularity the persons or places to be searched or to be seized and to connect them up with a showing of probable cause. Now, in the case of FISA 702, we're dealing with a somewhat different universe. Now, moments ago, we heard some discussion about FISA 702, about suddenly we've got a different FISA 702 than what we had when President Trump was last in office. Is that true? Because by my count, FISA 702 has not changed substantively since President Trump was in office last.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And there was also some back and forth discussion about FISA 702 and the use of it and the fact that in real time, it might not work to get a warrant. This, in my view, misses the point. The concern that the American people have with FISA 702 is not about the real-time collection of communications regarding foreign targets. The concern is that once those communications are stored, you have within
Where'd they
them
go?
what are referred to as incidentally collected communications of Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Text messages, emails, recorded phone calls, and so forth. If they want to go in and search for someone, let's say you, if someone wants to go into one of those databases after they've been collected, let's see if you're unwittingly communicating under FISA 702.
That would be them
They
WhatsApp
wanted
people.
to search for
Don't
you.
communicate with them.
They wanted to enter your name, your phone number, your email address, or some other personal electronic identifier. Would they have to get a warrant to do that under current law?
Under current law, I believe so, Senator.
Under
he said
current
he's
law,
about to-
they routinely access that without getting a warrant.
Uh-oh.
In order to access it, they've got their own internal procedures. They're not supposed to use this for light or transient reasons. They're supposed to have a perfectly good reason, and yet we found that on hundreds of thousands of occasions, they have accessed the private communications of Americans, searching for those individual Americans by name, by number, by email address, whatever it is, without a warrant or anything tantamount to it.
Oh.
On occasion, they've even been used for overtly nefarious reasons. One agent deciding to look in on his father because he suspected his father might be having an extramarital affair. On another occasion, an agent looked at people
Spies
who were
like
thinking
us, huh?
about renting an apartment from him
Okay.
to make sure they were upstanding citizens and could be trusted. Are these
It's just a
appropriate
Google
uses
search.
of
Like,
FISA
what are you
702?
talking about?
As you alluded to, the FISA court, it's not me deciding it. The FISA court put out a report in 22 or 23 where 255,000 illegal improper queries of American citizens had occurred. 255,000 reasons why the American people don't trust it. And that's what we must work together, Congress and me, if I'm confirmed as FBI director.
Man, he
restore
talking
that
is
trust.
he doing all right, man. I don't know about
Music
y'all.
to FBI director or
Lex
FBI
Luthor
director
over here.
nominee, who, when I've asked about this, hasn't said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll handle it okay. We've got good people on the inside. We would never breach the trust of the American people. Do you know what? They were lying. I was willing to believe
true.
that they thought they were telling the truth, but they were mistaken. But they were lying. Time has told us they were lying. You will not lie, and that's why I wholeheartedly support you. In the closing seconds that I have, I want to add my dismay and my disgust for the fact that you've been smeared, you've been attacked, you've been associated with racism, with being a Nazi. You are none of those things, sir. Just as
See
your
both
father
pictures,
lived
yo.
as a racial minority in Uganda, you've been raised as a racial minority in this country, and you've been nothing but a patriot. Your commitment to the Constitution, to the rule of law, and to the American people is remarkable. and I'm honored to know you, to call you my friend, and to give you my vote. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, that guy was definitely on the side of Cash.
To you and your family, congratulations.
This guy
on
needs
the
to go with the
nomination.
same hairstyle
And
as the
we
guy
had a
before.
constructive conversation last week.
This
I
is
appreciate you taking the time.
unnecessary.
In
what we're seeing
particular,
here.
conversation
Just let it.
I knew, I found moving.
All right, I'm
But
about
the role
to
you've been
move on
nominated
from it.
for,
I'm about to move
is
on from it.
central,
Though.
central to our security as a nation, central to the Bureau's motto of serving with fidelity, bravery, and integrity. And I also think my vote for him and for many of Trump's cabinet in his first term shows I take my constitutional advice and consent role seriously and do not reflexively vote against his nominees. I look at three factors when I assess a nominee: qualifications and experience, policy views and whether they're in the best interest of the American people, and character and capacity to do the job independently where called for.
Okay.
My colleagues have referenced
All right,
quotes from
he's
Attorney General
boring me.
Barr, National Security Advisor Bolton. The FBI is enormous, 38,000 agents, $9 billion budget. I am troubled by your lack of senior law enforcement leadership. We disagree on some important policy views, but the thing that bothers me the most is a whole series of statements you've made in a variety of settings that suggest you would struggle to be independent from White House direction or control, as has long been the modern history of the FBI.
Has it
Who
been?
does the director of the FBI work for, Mr. Patel?
Senator, thank you for that question. The immediate.
All right, after this question,
director of
I'm
the
getting to the
FBI
show.
is
I got
the
shit to
Office of
do.
Deputy Attorney General.
Thank y'all for tuning
And
in. Make
that
sure y'all
report is
subscribe
taken
real
into
quick
the
while we're
Office
sitting
of
here
Attorney
waiting.
General and ultimately
And,
the White House and the chain of command there.
That way we can get into the chat and such.
So the FBI works for the
I know
White
they're
House.
pulling this
The
metadata
FBI
right
is
now.
a
They're not
member
going to
of
give
the
no
Department
push
of
on this.
Justice
But thanks for
and has
stopping in,
been
Brix.
The long-standing
And
application.
who does the Department of Justice work for?
They're in the executive branch, as all members do at the White House.
Attorney General Bondi gave a different answer when I asked her the same question,
Mm-hmm.
that they work for the Constitution and the American people. President Trump's made clear in public statements he wants that folks ranging from Liz Cheney to Adam Kinzinger to former Vice President Harris should be investigated and criminally prosecuted. If
Okay.
President Trump were to order you to open an investigation,
Directly to my ability to leave political bias and allow independent behavior to be the only guiding light. As a public defender, I learned that in the harshest of arenas. And any law
Public
enforcement
defender job is a
investigation, if I'm
shit
confirmed,
job,
the FBI
too.
will only be launched on the following qualification: a factual, articulable, legal basis to do so. The president has said publicly that he will allow the FBI to remain independent, and I have said as much as well.
refer it to a prosecutor, and you get a call from the White House saying, don't proceed. This is a major donor. This is someone close to the president. This is inappropriate. What
Of
would
course
you
it's
do?
going to say, no, I'm not
I
going to
think
do
you
that.
answered
Come on,
it
man.
partially in your question. The line agents, the brick agents who are trained have my full support so long as it upholds absolutely every value of the Constitution. And that's it.
So your predecessor, I went back and looked, and I asked the
Mm-hmm.
same questions of Director Comey and Director Wray. Director Wray, quoting former
See my
Attorney
face
General
on
Barr,
that
said you
last
should be
one.
willing to
Mhm.
resign if necessary over conduct if you're pressed to engage in it that's unethical, illegal, or unconstitutional.
But that's subjective.
If
he could
pressed
think it's
by the
ethical,
president,
and then it's
would
not
you resign?
ethical. So that's not
Senator,
right.
My
You can't
answer
do
is
that.
simply I would
Yeah,
never
I'm
do
just gonna do
anything
what I gotta do.
unconstitutional
I'm gonna do the
or
best I
unlawful,
can.
and never have in my 16 years of government service.
Would you be willing to resign the post of FBI director if pressed and given no choice but to obey the order or resign?
Senator, I will always obey the law.
Does obeying the law require you to, as Attorney General Bell said, as FBI Director Wray said, refuse the order or resign?
What are you
I'm
talking
not
about?
familiar with the extent of the law that you're referring
Yeah,
to.
what is he
but
talking
my
about?
answer is simple. In my 16 years
I'm
of
gonna
government
do. I'm gonna
service,
do the
we
thing
will
that you
simply
hired me to
follow
do.
the law.
If you let me
I've
do
done
it,
that
that's
in the
really what
Obama
he's trying to
Justice
say. I get
Department,
it, Cash
in
Patel.
Republican
This
Justice
guy, I
Departments,
don't
in
know
the
what he's
Obama
asking.
military, in Republican civilian
He's
capacity.
like-
I have never once wavered from my constitutional oath of office.
Mr.
I'm not
Patel,
about
your
to start.
predecessors in this role have been clear that they would be willing to resign if forced or directed to do something unethical or illegal. I'll proceed. One of your past statements that's concerned
that was a
both
gotcha
a post
question,
on
though.
Truth
I don't
Social
know.
and something you said in a podcast, the Sean
I
Gordon
told you
report.
the podcast,
Your
yo.
predecessor,
They keep bringing up the
Chris Roberts,
podcast.
has
We gotta watch
broken
out for the
law. We need to
podcast now.
prosecute him.
They
The
watching.
FBI should go
They
after
probably
people like
watching this
him.
shit right now.
Months
Well, if you're
before this, in
watching,
July
put a
2023,
damn like
there should
in the
be a
joint.
criminal referral for FBI Director Wray. If confirmed, Are you going to follow through on these previous statements that Director Wray needs to be prosecuted?
Senator, this reminds me of the conversation you and I had, which I greatly appreciated. There is enough violent crime in this country and enough national security threats to this country.
Then I ain't worried about
FBI
that
is going
shit.
to be busy going forward,
Yeah.
preventing 100,000 overdoses,
Yeah.
100,000 rapes, and 17,000 homicides.
We agree
But
that
if we get the
prosecuting violent crime
time,
should be the
we're coming
principal
for your
focus
boy.
of the
That's what
FBI.
he
What
could
I'm
put
trying
at
to
the
get
end.
to, Mr.
We
Patel,
just don't have the
is
time
a
for that shit right
series
now.
of very
Okay.
troubling to me and many other statements you've made.
That
about
was their
instead
sound, not
using
mine.
it
That's their
to
shit.
pursue those who might be viewed as political opponents.
And as I told you in your office, I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as the FBI director. I told you that in your office, and I'll tell you that again today.
Imagine if he
Thank
said
you
the
for that
opposite.
statement. As
Man,
the
I'm
co-chair
gonna
of the
get
law
all
enforcement
of these
caucus
mother.
with Senator Cornyn. One of the things I've worked hard on.
I seen
and
it.
hope
They
to
treated my
continue to
family like
work
shit.
hard on, with this administration is partnership between federal, state, and local law enforcement to pursue violent crime. You did say, as my colleague asked, and I look for a longer answer, that you want to close the FBI Bureau's headquarters on day one. How would shutting down the FBI headquarters
Let's see what we got here.
impact its ability to prosecute violent crime and drug traffickers? How is that possibly a serious proposal, Mr.
Thank you
Patel?
for bringing that up and allowing me to answer. It was to highlight the significantly greater point that I was actually making in that interview, which is well documented over
What
and
is
over
this?
again. 38,000 FBI employees. 7,500 FBI employees work in the Washington field office and Hoover building alone. If you increase that aperture just slightly to encompass the national capital region, that is 11,000 FBI employees work in the national capital region. A third of the workforce for the FBI works in Washington, D.C. I am fully committed to having that workforce go out into the interior of the country, where I live, west of the Mississippi, and work with sheriff's departments and local officers, and having one agent prevent one homicide, and having one agent in Washington prevent one rape. And I will do that over and over and over again, because the American people deserve the resources, not in Washington, D.C., but in the rest of the country.
And
Oh,
Mr.
he
Patel,
studied for
frankly,
that
if
one.
had
He
been
studied for that
that would be
question right
something
there.
that would be defensible.
Yeah,
It's
he
the
studied
rest
for
of
that. He
us
knew
that
that
are
one
going
was
to
coming.
Turn it into a museum of the deep state that causes repeated questions and concerns from people like myself. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Before I call on Senator Hawley, I'd like to enter letters into the record from scores of state attorneys general, former U.S. attorneys, former U.S. Department of Justice officials.
All right, so this guy here, who obviously is a poster child for term limits. He's basically going to read off a bunch of like shout outs to people that said good things about Kash Patel. And so overall, I think he'll probably be fine. But the thing that I really wanted folks to see on that was the fact that they kept bringing up stuff that he said on podcasts. So be careful what you say on the podcast. You already know. They pull in all of it. He said it's all in the metadata and in the background data. They keep it for however long they want to keep it for. And they do have access to it. We all know that. Congress or be part of a future presidential cabinet, make sure that you guys understand that when you appear on the podcast, committed to saying nothing but things that I can stand 10 toes down on. And because of that, we must get started with our purge of the BS. So everybody, thank you for joining in. I appreciate y'all for hanging out while I was tuned in. I was trying to catch something live there. Pause. And you guys were just witness to it. So thank you to everyone who's really been supporting the channel. You guys have been great. Stuff is about to get a lot better. We got some new things opening up that are going to be awesome. So thank y'all for tuning in to another Purge of the BS. Let's get this thing started. All right. Close this out. I'll come back to that. I'm gonna watch that later if it's still on. But guys, this is the new media. We right here, Purge of the BS. Make sure if you're just tuning in, you hit that like button, you subscribe to the channel. We have good Grisellia Love you. I see you in the chat. Al McAllister in the chat. Let's go. Let's go. So, as we get into this thing, I want to wish the best to Kash Patel because, you know, regardless of how people feel about certain things and certain people, I like the dude's name being Kash. Not going to lie. I'm partial to the name. You can call me identity politics on this one. But unless you show me something where he was messing with some kids or something, I think he should get the job. Let the man have that job. You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to believe that there's some fear from like a mainstream point of certain things. One that I'm starting to hear a lot about is these podcasts, like these crazy podcasts. You go on a podcast, you have a candid conversation with somebody, they stream it out to the rest of the world, and then because of something that you may have said on that podcast, you get in trouble. Because it's supposed to be you saying what you're going to say and stand on it. I get it, but it's kind of similar to me about taking, 100% real with that. So I don't know. That's just me. I think that if you go on Club Shay Shay, you should be in Congress talking about it. Like, I don't know. I think if Congress don't have nothing better, because they got access to all that stuff that you can come up with, is the stuff that somebody First Amendment right next time. Do better next time. If you want to come up against somebody, you got to do better than that. Okay? And I'm curious to see what does happen when he gets into office. I don't think he's going to fire everybody, but there's a lot going on with that right now. And we don't know who's getting fired in federal government. And y'all know what I'm talking about. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But before we do, as always, because we are here at Purge the BS, and before I get too deep into it and get myself into trouble, disclaimer time, guys, okay? Thank you.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of another Purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the Purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary. Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
Okay. All right, so because we're on the topic of this new media thing, for those that don't know, there has been an increase in alternative media sources being seen as, one, a good place for conversation and truth, and also a threat to the legacy media. And me personally, I don't mind being that threat or being part of that threat or being considered part of that threat because I like to have real conversation. And I don't like when I watch stuff and I look at it and my eyebrow goes up and I'm like, I don't know about that. And then I got to go dig into some stuff. When really, they could have just dug into it for me and brought me 100% to deal with in the first place so that I can make a more informed decision. They don't do that for me all the time. So I don't normally cover this next show. I'm not a big fan of the show called The View. I don't know if you guys have ever seen The View. They've seen the damn View. I'm going to bring up a quick clip here from The View. Apparently, this is in response to the White House press secretary has opened up the White House press briefings to independent media, for those that don't know. So if you haven't done so, go apply for your press pass among the millions. It's basically going to be a lottery situation, and that's fun. We'll see who they get in there. You know, different people every week. That'll be cool. So we'll see how it works out, you know. But I already put it in for, sorry, pause. I already subscribed or submitted the paperwork for that. And it wasn't really much to it. It's like a name and what's your website kind of stuff. So they're going to check out if you got enough followers, you know, that kind of stuff, enough subscribers. So make sure you subscribe it. Because, hey, I would love to be in the back corner laughing and being somewhat mildly ignorant within the space. Because I heard people laugh in some of them joints. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be laughing. Because I smell that bullshit. So Whoopi and them on The View decided to go in on this whole situation with the independent media being added to the White House complex. So I'll let you hear Pam Bondi's little piece, or not Pam Bondi, sorry, Caroline Levitt's little piece first. But check this out.
And adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room.
See?
We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. This seat, my team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right. What'd she say?
Hey, let me turn off the captions on this.
Oh, God, how boring. Can I get somebody there not so tedious?
Now look, I'm gonna apologize in advance for the sound of multiple people on The View talking at the same time. It has a very similar likeness to Nails on the Chalkboard, and I just want you to know that's not intentional against you. Just wanted you guys to hear the conversation. I will do my best to not allow my brain to bleed. I suggest you do the same, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, The View.
I love having Joy in that room. So I got a question. So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
Wait, okay, I have a question, which is why I was leading us in this direction.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I
where you're
would like
taking
this
us?
young lady this is her first job. I would like her to do a little homework because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off.
Uh-oh.
And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you because women were not invited to that
Hold up,
table.
whoa,
Women were not invited to
Wait a second. What do you mean without, what are we talking about here? This lady, the lady that was talking was one of Trump people. I thought Trump didn't like wokeness. So is that wokeness that got her the job? Or just because Trump wanted her to have the damn job? Because that's what it sounded like. It sounded like he just wanted her to have the job. She was running for a Senate or something. She got some qualifications, don't she? She's not just off the damn street. I don't know. Maybe it just seems disingenuous. But go ahead, Whoopi. Go ahead, Whoopi.
Sure that you didn't have to worry about that.
She seems angry.
And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the
Maybe she wanted the job.
wokeness was put in place for a reason because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian. Please stop using that phrase and talking about because you don't understand what you're saying.
This is what happens when you hijack
about
woke.
yourself. That, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity.
To be clear, though, it's not her first job.
Okay, well, let's just, before I let this other lady, the one lady seems to have some sense, that's over on the right in the red. I don't know who that is, but just be honest. If the whole Trump administration was based on not doing woke stuff or providing equal opportunities for different people, then I would think that he would just have like Joe Rogan up there, or you know what I'm saying? Not saying that's anything wrong against Joe Rogan, but I'm just saying he would just put a dude up there that's like a manly man and let that guy talk his stuff to the press. He puts this like, she looks like if a Cabbage Patch Kid grew up but like slimmed out a little bit, so still like cute Cabbage Patchy with the cheeks. She's a cutie. So I was not expecting her to be as well-spoken as she was, to be honest with you, because I'd never really followed any of her stuff before. But I think she did all right in the job. Like I saw the other lady, she didn't do no worse than that lady, or the lady before, or the dude before, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, she's like 29. Let him have his fun, man. Let him put some youth in there. Let him put some, let's bring it up to speed, guys. I think it was a good choice. I wasn't sure, but I don't really care at the end of the day at that level. But I'm just saying, he could have done way worse. So don't get mad when she's talking about what you knew she was going to talk about. Just let that woman have her little time. Give her congratulations on the fact that she's that young, the fact that she's a woman that's doing that. Don't be mad at her. I get what you're saying. Like, you don't like the fact that she said woke is done, but it doesn't seem like Whoopi's really giving her any accolades for whatever it took. And it did take some things for this woman to get this job. Like even the lady, Joy Behar, right? She immediately says, well, she's only got the job because she's a 10. Okay, well, that's some misogynistic shit to say. Like, if I said some shit like that, they would come for me. But for whatever reason, a woman says that, and it's like, oh, okay, let's just keep it moving, huh? No, that's some real misogynistic shit to say. You really minimizing this woman's plight, whatever it is, because she's, like I said, she's got some experience. I've seen that she ran for something. She's been around. She's not just some random. So let's be respectful, ladies. You know what I'm saying? Jeez. Sorry, I wasn't even into it, but the way she said that, I'm like, yo, give her props where the props is due at minimum. I don't see no props being delivered right now. And I'm like 3 minutes into this thing.
This is her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whatever I'm saying, this is the first time that she's been she may be. But my point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I do the same thing. We're realizing this election, how media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this. This is a person who made his career in television.
Donald J. Plump in the chat.
Influences from
some of the outlets that had their passes revoked when Biden came in were right of center outlets. I don't have a problem with partisan outlets being there as long as it's representative of both sides and you have non-biased traditional media there as well. And that it's fact driven how they cover it.
The problem that I have with it, though, is, she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria.
All right, just for a second, why is Sunny Hostin's head so big? Like, it looks like she's supposed to be a bigger person. You ever seen somebody like that? Like, they kind of have that bobbleheaded look. And I always, I'm not a big fan of anything that's going on The View right now. I just think it's amazing that they're freaking out about what looks like progress, if you really want to be honest about it. That's what it really looks like. It looks like progress. So, I'm sorry. And you know what? There's Al McAllister. I'm not saying that the woman's not going to follow the president who hired her. She wants to keep a job. But I'm also not going to subscribe to some theory that she's not able to do the job. You see what I'm saying? I don't believe that particular woman is not able to do the job that she was put in place for. And that's what I believed DEI was supposed to be about, and wokeness was about trying to be like force something that shouldn't be there. Or at least that's what I thought. Now, I don't know. So in this case, I believe after watching the woman speak, answer questions, like I said, I'm not just basing it on her looks. I looked at her speak and listened to her talk, right? Like we all should do. And then said, I don't see why she can't do that job. And there you go. That's called an objective decision. Okay? So I got context. If you want to go watch her stuff, feel free. She definitely is a Trumper. But that's who she works for. So that's not unexpected. Goofy shit. You got to understand there's a difference between things you don't like to hear and actual goofy shit. Right? Actual goofy shit is basically like a lie or an embellished or blind spotted point. Like they're telling you something but not telling you something, or showing you something but not showing you all of it. That's that goofy shit. So if she comes up there and just stands 10 toes down on something that I don't like, I can respect that. But if she comes up there and tells me something like, they piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, then I'm going to have an issue with that. And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But just in terms of whether or not the woman is qualified for the job, I think we need to stop that conversation. I think that's a wasted conversation. That woman's way more qualified than I am or anybody else around here. And I didn't know who the hell Sarah Huckabee Sanders was, or Karine Jean-Pierre, or none of them people, or the little Sean Spicer. I didn't know none of them people before they had that job. So you know what? The criteria isn't super duper high, but you do need to be able to have a decent conversation and deal with the press who is really trying to dig for certain stories that can make your president look bad. So yes, she's out there to defend, but let her do the job. She worked for that to some degree. She did some work. You're not going to act like she just popped
We
in.
understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious.
Mm-hmm.
I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters. Why are they qualified to sit in front in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? Traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree. Yeah. You had to have qualifications. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here.
They're making Snapchat equivalent to the New York Times.
No, but you guys are minimizing something really important here. There was a time where there were 3 evening broadcasts for news. Yes. Everyone sat down around the TV and they watched these 3 news outlets. Now you look at where people consume news. 54% of American adults say they get news from social media. A large majority of U.S. adults, 86%, say they get at least some of their information. If you don't want mis and disinformation, which is inevitable, obviously, with this administration, but if you want to go directly to the source and have people receive it themselves and put it out to their audiences, I'd rather have them in that room. Influencers are not just the Kardashians. They're also the Brene Browns. You've got podcasts like Pod Saves America. There are people that only consume their news from other...
They show up.
And I do think that there are a lot of Americans who do feel like the mainstream media got a lot wrong in recent years. And while there are editorial standards, I don't think that we can definitively say, because you have this degree and you're with this outlet, you've never gotten news information wrong.
Well, I will say this. I feel a lot better when I know there are standards people have to meet.
Yeah, of course.
And so you can bring in whoever you want. The truth will, the proof will be in the pudding. We can stand and say this is terrible, but so we're gonna wait and see what happens. And
Well, then what the hell was she talking about? You know what? I can't with them. I can't. I'm sorry. Hey, Brix, thank you for the information in the chat. Everybody for stopping in. Make sure y'all hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? Al Bond stopping in the chat. What's good, man? I know we might be having a technical difficulty, but I cannot cut the horizontal feed for 2 reasons, and I don't like to have difficulties. If I cut the horizontal feed, it cuts the vertical feed because they part of the same feed. Pretty much. And I don't want anybody to go through that. So those of y'all that are with me, I'm doing my best with this situation. I got a new computer coming in. The channel is doing a little bit better, so it's starting to try to pay for itself. So make sure if you're feeling generous, be generous, okay? We got merch. We got the super chat thing. I got to start locking down these videos because of the ad suitability, so they're going to be members only and all that. So I got to there's a lot going on that I want y'all to be part of. But in the interim, I want you to keep something in mind, okay? There is something going on that is a historic event going on in the UK right now. And I think... So, I don't know if y'all can read this as well as I can, but I'm just going to let you know that this woman recently pled guilty to the first ever cyber farting case. So we're going to take it away from the serious. We're going to chill it out for 1 second here. The first ever cyber farting case. Apparently, she was sending videos of herself farting to her boyfriend's ex. So, like, she's the new girlfriend, and the gas passer herself. Let's see if is there audio in this? Yeah, let's get some audio here. Hold on, let me bring this back. Hold on.
A woman from Wales is facing jail after bombarding her boyfriend's ex with videos of herself farting. Rhiannon Evans, 25, has appeared in court today to plead guilty to her.
She looks like she be farting too, don't she?
Cyber farting case. She is accused of causing distress or anxiety to her boyfriend's ex after sending videos of herself passing wind. The prosecution told the magistrates that in the first video she sent, she filmed
16, pink iPhone 16.
At the camera. Her tweeting continued on Boxing Day and New Year's Day, despite police getting wind of what had happened.
Getting wind of what had happened. I see what you did. All right, guys. So, just making sure that you understand that over in the UK, they don't play that shit, okay? You will not be sending fart videos to your boyfriend's ex. Ladies, if you were thinking about doing that, fellas, if you were thinking of doing that and thinking of sending it to your girlfriend's ex, let's take this whole idea off the table, okay? Let's learn from the mistakes of others, and let's proceed forward with full information on what you don't do with your new iPhone, okay? So everybody, we can agree to that. We are not going to be farting in our phones and sending them anywhere. Now, it's a shame that I have to say that, but I can only imagine being like the judge when you're looking at the document. And they're like, what is this case? Well, apparently, this one likes to fart on phones. And Judge, I'm trying to tell you right now, man, she can fart. I was with her for 3 years. She used to fart in the bed, and she probably liked farting. Like, if you send a bunch of videos of farting, if you send a bunch of videos of people farting, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So, nonetheless, I'm going to move into the next story here. Hold on a second. Where's my camera at? Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I got the right thing here. Now, y'all are about to be pissed off to the highest level of pistivity. For anybody that's got kids or feeling a certain type of way, all right? Prepare yourself. The following may be disturbing to some. I think I need to put a disclaimer out there for that one.
From a rowdy house party with more than 100 teens in Brevard County.
Fox 35 was the only station there as police were outside that principal's house today. And Fox 35's Chancellor Wynn is live in Cocoa Beach tonight. So, Chancellor, the community is in shock.
His parents
over these
named
arrests.
him Chancellor.
Parking lot. Now, those parents tell me they're shocked a bit, but not entirely about the arrest of a teacher and a parent from this school. This is Roosevelt Elementary School. Now, again, it's a teacher and the principal of this school have been arrested. A father telling me nothing really surprises him anymore, but a mother speaking out says she's beginning to question her trust in educators.
To know that these kinds of things are happening is terrifying.
An underage house party at a Brevard County principal's home ends with first responders treating a heavily intoxicated juvenile in the front yard.
Elizabeth Hill Brodigan was seen by an officer at the top of her driveway, who then returned inside her residence and turned out the outside lights, causing the EMS workers to not be able to see to treat the juvenile.
Whoa. So what they're just saying here is that there were some drunk teens at a principal's house. One of them got outside, was sick, probably throwing up in the lawn. EMT showed up to treat the child, and the principal lady cut the lights off and went back in the house like, that's y'all problem now. See, these are the things that we need to be addressing. Like, first of all, this woman is in a position of educating children, meanwhile, drinking and partying with them at the same time. Sounds like a conflict of interest to me. And I'm sure if they dig a little further, she was probably two seconds away from a molestation kind of situation. One of those. I'm just being honest. I mean, you know, she's not a bad-looking teacher, but I'm not giving her a pass. I'm just saying she's not ugly, so she could probably use those wiles on people. Probably. So, let me see here.
Her home on
elementary school principal.
Influence in their life, it's, you know, it just breaks my heart.
Police say a Theodore Roosevelt Elementary School teacher, Carly Anderson, was also at the party, intoxicated.
These kids, they trust teachers.
Hold on, so the teachers are getting drunk with This is Florida, so it's an interesting place, okay? In Florida, apparently, in this area, the principal and third grade teacher of the elementary school are getting drunk with the teenagers from the middle and the high school, inviting them to the house for the house party and partaking in the beverages themselves. All right, I'm going to start with, how long did they think that shit was going to go on before somebody was going to have a problem with it? Like, how long did they really, was this the first party? I hope that she'd invited me over, you know, I probably would have came around just so I could tell everybody what kind of crazy stuff was going on at this lady's house. But yes, the elementary school principal and third grade teacher from the same elementary school were throwing house parties for the middle and high school kids and having alcohol there for them and drinking with them. And to the point that they got so drunk, not the teachers per se, but the kids, that ambulances had to be called and people had to be treated. I'm going to let this finish out.
Someone betray that trust and lead these kids down a path like that. It's sad and scary all at the same time.
A mother of 2 Brevard public school teens says this is something she never expected in her school district. Hill Brodigan is facing charges of child neglect, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and holding an open house party, while Anderson has charges of child neglect and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Now, detectives say they've interviewed nearly 100 kids from throughout the county.
100
and the kids at
kids.
the party were as young as 13 years old. Reporting.
I told you, that's like middle school kids, 13 years old. You might be freshman. You might be a freshman. But you could be in middle school, depending on your birthday or whether or not you had previous, you may have stayed back a year or started school a little late when you started. I don't know. But 13, yo. I don't know what this lady's name was. I missed her name. I know it was in there, but she got some charges. Child neglect, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. What I didn't hear was, did she get fired? And are the parents going to have something to say? Like, these are criminal charges from the police, but what about the parents? What about the people at the school? What else is she doing at that school? What the hell going on over there? What would make a grown-ass person who should be of rational mind? You should be of a rational mind if you are the principal of a school. I'm not saying that, the principal has to be a damn genius, but I'm just saying we expect them to at least be of a rational mind. And they're around elementary school kids, probably grooming them to be the next batch of the middle school and high school kids that they get drunk. And that's grooming them for something worse. I didn't necessarily see anything, essay or anything like that on there. I saw just basically she was being an idiot trying to be the cool adult because she probably wasn't cool when she was young, and now everybody thought she was cool. And so she tried too much, started having these little kids at her house drinking. That's ridiculous. I think the parents need to have some type of a different lawsuit. I mean, child neglect and stuff like that. Nah, man, that was your kids. So she gonna be lucky on the lawn and cut the lights out on her while the ambulance working on her? Oh, you crazy. She crazy. Oh, they both got fired? Well, I mean, at minimum. I you know what? I expected that. I didn't hear it in the news report. But see, this is what I'm saying. You would expect a person of a rational mind to not do these kinds of things. And you would expect the people that are doing these kinds of things to not be in positions of being principal and authority within a school. But this was something that we covered on the podcast before. If you want to do something dirty, you got to go to where the dirt is that you like. So she's probably in the young people. Like, that's probably her whole thing. She probably got a whole youth order to be in. And I guarantee that lady, if this story don't get out big enough, she'll get a job somewhere else because she probably got tenure. And they'll probably put her ass in a high school, which is a recipe for disaster. But that's that bullshit. So I'm going to move on from that. I'm going to move on from that. Yeah, them kids, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to say one last thing. Watch out for your kids. Because there's some people out in this world that are watching your kids. And they're not watching them for good reason. They out here on some goofy shit. You a whole principal. And you bringing people, you know what? No, I'm going to piss myself off again. So I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Let me see, what was the next story that was coming up here? Oh, God. All right, folks. This lady, Tiffany, I want to say it is, out in, out in that area. You know, we know Chicagoans don't don't play. That's like the birthplace of drill rap. You know what I'm saying? I think they should calm down. But basically what happens is she's doing a whole press conference because she's recently been found guilty of a bunch of crazy stuff. And I did the other story about the lady in Vegas and that whole situation. So she's been in the spotlight. But she goes into her little press conference or whatever yesterday. And this guy comes up there, has a lot to say about her, and then a fight breaks out. So this is her, the super mayor, as they called her. For the softies, this may be disturbing to some, okay? This will mess up ad suitability right here.
Texas, she went to help her daughter, but I done heard about 4 or 5 people tell me how they had to take care of yours. And so like you been a half-ass mayor. But if you want to get up here and earn some respect, then you should have been able to respond to Lori Lightfoot's report about credit cards. You want to talk about association?
The Black Cookout Association.
Take a vote, and we're gonna exchange your black ass for Stephanie to be the new member of Congress. So all those in favor say, all those against it say nay, all those in favor say aye. You gone, bitch.
So right about here is where shit gets amazingly crazy. And it's apparently started by the guy the guy who was talking gets into it with Tiffany Henyard's boyfriend, whose name I believe is Kamal or something like that. Mostly hugging. You see some swinging, but it's mostly hugging. So you see the pole blocked everything. It's a lot of hugging. They're just hugging. They're just hugging, algorithm. They're just hugging. Oh. Folks, what's the quote for the year? Do better next time. Do better. This is what we got going on now. We can't have nothing civil no more. I mean, it was getting out of hand. This is not a good place for this woman to be. Maybe, just maybe, she brings more chaos than she does construction. Maybe, just maybe, it's not about her blackness or about whether or not she's a minority this or where she came from that. Maybe she just sucks at the fucking job. Maybe. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all that's necessary. These people that voted her out, they didn't try to sit in. Why are you still there? Why is it still going on? I thought they got rid of her in the election thing recently. There was like a whole meeting. I'm just saying, if this person is bringing more destruction than anything else, destroying the funds, firing everybody, destroying a bunch of stuff. Sounds kind of like what Trump is doing. But maybe not quite the same thing. He's not starting fights right now in the middle of the freaking Oval Office or anything. But this is what America sees as black culture. You put us in positions of being rich, being in politics, and being in the mayoral seats and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, we get viewed as inept because of shit like this. This is not how you handle conflict. I get it. The guy said something you didn't like to your girl. But you simping out on national TV, probably going to go to jail. And while you're in jail, somebody else is going to be helping her out and taking care of what she needs, if you understand what I'm saying. And you went through all of that to just go to jail. That's what. I don't want to say that this is black culture, but this is what black culture has become. It's what we're used to. This should be a place of order and decorum that's going on in there. But you already started out with them folded up wooden seats like you had a freaking AA meeting or something. It's uncomfortable. And so people got uncomfortable. And this, like, that's some low level, low vibrational shit. Your boyfriend made. Your boyfriend, not your husband, none of that. Nope. Your boyfriend. Like, how long you even been with this dude? Like, what, a couple months? And he out there, he's getting locked up for you. Now he gonna go to jail. And she gonna be just fine outside of jail. She ain't going to jail. He going to jail. Because somebody said something to her. He didn't put his hands on her or nothing. That was dumb. That guy, I mean, I don't know that guy personally, but I wish I could have been the voice in his ear. Like, nah, bro, don't do this shit. Gonna go viral, man. And you want to go viral because you a real one. You real. Yeah, real stupid. That's what that was. That was real stupid. I don't know why I did that shit. Well, guys, what's been going on with our recent deportation situation, right? And a bunch of other things that have been coming down. So I apologize. Like I said, if we were having a technical issue earlier, I think we might have got around it. And yes, it was a ninja moment in that previous clip. But we all know the phrase, when keeping it real goes wrong. Because, you know, he's going to stay in the damn headlines for the next however many years. Because he just be doing a lot. Not everything is horrible Hitler, but he just be doing a lot. So it's hard to keep up with what's important and what are they just trying to spin and make me angry about, and what's the stuff I need to be talking about on Purge the BS and making sure that people understand, right? So he came out there, since everybody's been really mad about deportation lately, he came out there and made some pretty bold statements about what he's planning on doing in the near future when it comes to housing the immigrants.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday ordered the expansion of a migrant detention facility
If
at
you didn't
Guantanamo
know.
Bay.
Today, I'm also to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it.
I thought they shut down Guantanamo Bay. Didn't they shut that
beds
down?
in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them, because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of.
The U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, already houses a migrant facility separate from the high-security U.S. prison for foreign terrorism suspects. It has been used on occasion for decades, including to hold Haitians and Cubans picked up at sea. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel called Trump's plan, quote, an act of brutality. New U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan said later on Wednesday that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency would run the expanded administration was working with Congress to determine the cost of the project. The detention facility at Guantanamo Bay was set up by George W. Bush to detain foreign militant suspects following the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. There are 15 detainees left in the prison.
Hold up, they got a whole prison that only has 15 people in it right now? No wonder they need to put some people in there. That's a freaking probably get a lot done. I'm just playing. That's shitty conditions. We know. I'm just saying. I didn't know there was only 15 people there. That's crazy. Well, they're about to get a lot more. They're about to get a lot more. We give them their last 20 seconds.
Predecessors Barack Obama and Joe Biden both sought, albeit unsuccessfully, to shut Guantanamo down. However, Trump has vowed to keep it open. Pro-refugee groups have called for the Guantanamo migrant facility to be closed and for Congress to investigate alleged abuses there.
All right, guys. So first, I want to cover that just briefly, because Guantanamo has been quite the topic lately, because the question was, when you start taking people out of here, number one, who's gonna fund it, who's gonna do it, right? And then, like, where do you put them in between the interaction and the deportation, right? And earlier in the podcast, somebody had said they're just gonna put them in the jails, and I said, oh, well, that's where they are now. And apparently they can't get to the ones in the jails. So there is now talk on the internet about the possibility of a coming, pause, concentration camp for deportees who are in the process of being sent back to somewhere and they get stuck at Guantanamo. And that's probably what's going to happen. Just being honest. Yeah, it's probably that's probably what it's going to be. It's probably what it's going to be. Hold on a second here. I don't want to like scare anybody, because I know there's a lot of people who are really feeling kind of empathetic for this whole situation, myself included. I don't want families to get ripped apart. I don't want crazy stuff like that to happen. I want it to be as peaceful a process and as quick as possible for anybody. I don't want anybody to go spend 6 months sitting somewhere while they're waiting on a flight to get them back to where they need to go. I just think there's more efficient and faster ways of doing it. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. So, guys, get ready, because the media's there. They got everything on camera now. We're going to see some stuff that might be disturbing over the course of the next few weeks. They're on the surface just scratching stuff right now. They're not even doing nothing, really. Just reporting a few numbers a day. Kind of like COVID. Remember when they used to report COVID every day? How many people were taken by COVID every day, and they would have these charts and stuff? That's what they're doing with the immigration thing. It's going to start to look like the little thermometer that fills up. Pretty much going to be a thing. And we did cover it a couple of, like I said, there's already collateral damage going on where people's loved ones are being pulled into this, and now they're talking about, you know, it's just there's too much information that's not 100% true. I don't believe that they're coming for Native Americans or anything right now, but there are some very, very interesting changes that were made to some of the celebrations that we have here in the U.S. So I wanted to share that with y'all because I know a lot of people celebrate different holidays and they might want to know this. So while we're talking about these other things, let me bring you some real shit. So the Department or the Defense Intelligence Agency apparently has put out this document to the DIA workforce to pause special emphasis programs and related activities and events. And this is in response to the DEI changes. Now, we all know the DEI has been shut down per se, right? So I'm going to read this thing through real quick because it's pretty short, but I just want you to see it, okay? The agency is working with the department to implement the executive orders. And remember this when we went over it the other day. Ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing and initial rescissions there. They just came up with a bunch of words saying shutting down DEI. He said, we are receiving questions across workforce on the way forward with special emphasis programs, special observances, agency resource groups, affinity groups, and employee networking groups. DIA will pause all activities and events related to agency special emphasis programs effective immediately and until further notice. Additionally, special observances hosted throughout the year by the command element, directorates, and special offices are also paused. These include observances related to the following. And this is what I want you guys to take in here. So, basically, the federal government, or at least the Department of Intelligence, or the Defense Intelligence Agency, is pausing the celebration of Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month, Women's History Month. So that just means, and I'm not saying just means, but I'm just saying what it means. When Martin Luther King Day comes around, we're not going to celebrate it by doing something special about Martin Luther King. Black History Month comes around, we're not going to celebrate it or observe it by doing something special. Specifically observes or celebrates these holidays, right? Women's History Month, okay? Now, I know it started out, it sounded like a black thing, right? But that's just because we're early in the year. But it continues. They just called it Pride. That's funny. They didn't even say month, just Pride. So just Pride in general. We're not celebrating any Pride. So Pride in general in June. Of course, Juneteenth as well. Women's Equality Day. National Hispanic Heritage Month. National Disability Employment Awareness Month. National American Indian Heritage Month. Now, I want you to also notice there is an asterisk that's listed here that says the pause will not affect federal holidays. Okay? And it has that listed only next to MLK Day and Juneteenth. So, black people, you didn't lose your holidays. I know that's been the talk. We're not losing holidays that are federal holidays. What they're saying is we're not supposed to celebrate these things specifically within the work settings during these times. And it's basically saying don't celebrate your heritage within the office. Just come do your work, go home. Don't put up your flags. Don't put up your Martin Luther King pictures. Don't put up nothing. Don't even put up a picture of your happy family because that promotes family. Just don't celebrate nothing. Just go to work, go home. And that's what this is saying. But you'll still get the day off, at least for Martin Luther King Day and the floating holiday for Juneteenth. And that's, I get it. I need that holiday. I need that holiday pay. That's time and a half, like double time and a half, I think it is. Need that. But I also want you to see and understand that this is not just a racially, like this ain't towards black people. Because the only ones that got an exception in this case were the black holidays, with the exception of Black History Month, but we're not doing that no more. And I thought it was interesting that the Holocaust Days of Remembrance was included in that because of our relationship to Israel. So I think that's interesting that they would cut that out as well. But I guess you got to be fair in some way. And the rest of these things were not federal holidays yet. They were just months of remembrance that were entered into the fray. So we're good there. On government is cutting out black holidays because that's how it came to me. Was that the black holidays were Black History Month was being eliminated? That's what I got was the story. Then I looked further into it and it was this. Okay, so Black History Month itself doesn't get taken away, but at least part of the federal government won't be observing it at all. So take that how you want. I'm moving on. Let's see what we got here. Oh, and the last thing I needed to help folks with is there's been a call that all of a sudden everything that is food stamps and welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, all those federal benefits were going to be cut. But most importantly, a lot of people were very touched by the food stamp conversation because apparently people are on food stamps. So this guy had a little video. It came up on X. And I got another one on there. So I'm just going to play these out, and then I'm getting ready to get out of here. But the point of funding freezes that has now been rescinded, so anybody that doesn't know, all of this is now hindsight. Okay? So we're just covering it because it's what people are talking about, and some people haven't been informed. So we're going to make sure that we let them see what other people are saying. So don't worry about MLK Day. They're not going to change Martin Luther King streets and all that kind of stuff. At least not right now. That's not what is going on right now. I haven't heard that. And like I said, people send me the stories. I investigate a little bit, try to figure out if it's 100% true or not, or what is true and what's not true. And then I bring it back to Purge the BS out of it so that we have the real, this is what's happening. Okay? So thank you guys for tuning in to that. But we're going to let this lady express her feelings about losing food stamps and SNAP benefits. Now, like I said, because people will see this and think I'm pushing that this is what's happening right now. This ain't even really what's happening. But it was a funny video, so I figured we'd watch it together.
I need somebody to fucking tell me they're lying. I need somebody to fucking tell me they're lying right fucking now.
They're lying.
What the fuck do you mean that I'm not gonna get my fucking SNAP benefits? What the fuck do you mean? Because what the fuck is happening? Do you understand that there are people like me who cannot work? Do you understand there are people like me who have kids who cannot eat? Do you understand there are people like me who go hungry the last week of the month just so my kids can't eat? Because SNAP benefits is all we fucking get. I need somebody to please fucking tell me he's lying. I can't. What the fuck am I gonna do?
Girl, get your butt up off the ground. Get off the floor. Trump did not take away your food stamps.
Yeah, she's shivering on the floor. That's crazy. Food stamps has not been stopped, okay? We're good. Anybody that's receiving those benefits, fine. Unless you are, I guess, an illegal migrant getting that, then maybe there will be some changes there. I don't know. But like I said, I had to give you everybody who's been freaking out about it because I just wanted y'all to hear what people believe. This isn't to make fun of these folks. These are people that really truly believe that their world is being shattered right now. And that's not true.
Okay, we listen and we don't judge.
Is that true?
I have 7 kids.
Why?
And I am currently pregnant right now with my 8th child.
And
7
you're a CNA
baby
or
daddies
something
and
like
another
that.
one. I got 8 baby daddies. Yes, we're getting $3K in
I digress.
food stamps. Yes, we are killing it, honey. We are killing it. No, I'm not ashamed. I've been a mom since age 14. I got pregnant at age 14 with my first child. I've been doing this by myself and getting help from the government.
This is horrible.
Why not get help from the government? I'm a single parent. All those child support checks, and I'm getting my $3K in food stamps. I have a food stamp plug that helps me.
So you just put somebody out there. You're not really getting that correctly. Something shady about the shit you're doing, and that's why you need the food stamp plug. I thought when she said the food stamp plug, she meant like when I get the food stamp plug and I give them some money and use the card so I can get more, use their food stamp card. That's the food stamp plug from where I'm at. But nonetheless, this lady says she has 7 kids, and 1 on the way. And 8 total baby daddies. I'm going to let y'all take that in. So maybe not the newest one, not yet. And getting $3K a month in food stamps. And it looks like she has a job, or she's at the doctor's office getting an exam done, and she just happens to have some little scrub looking at the glasses. That costs money. So this lady is really making out. So she should be the one that's having things removed. But if she really has 7 kids at the house, that's a lot of damn kids. And she probably does need the help. So I'm not going to be mad per se at that at all, because that's what it's really supposed to be for, is to help families that need it. But maybe she should just close her damn legs a little bit. Like, how does her family feel about that? Look. Guys, fathers, okay? Fathers. Talking to the fathers now. Let me talk to the fathers real quick. As a father of a daughter, one of the main things that you want is to not have your daughter have multiple Negroes busting up in her, okay? Because you know that there's demons that are in women. It just is. A woman that is chaste is more desirable because those demons haven't been inserted. Y'all can say what you want, but that shit is real. Okay? When your daughter is having 8 kids by 8 different people, you miss something in the come up. The woman said she's been a parent. She had her first child when she'd been so good with the check she was getting or whatever that she decided to do it again and again and again and again, and has lived her entire adult life, at least up until now, getting a check for popping out babies. Now, granted, there's no retirement plan in it, but this is the reason why people do it. Is because they can live off of it. You can live off of having a bunch of kids and the government pays for it. I'm not saying the government shouldn't help you out. I'm just saying that the reason why people do that is because the government pays for it. And it's been proven. And this woman decided to get on the internet to let us all know that she's doing good with her $3K a month in food stamps and child support for 7 children and a job. So she's making out. I don't know about the rest of us, but that lady is making out right now. But granted, she had to let her box get destroyed 8 times in order for that to happen. But yeah, it's her box. Do with it as you please. You know, doing this, we cannot keep doing this. Like, this is, we cannot keep doing this. I don't know if she's trollery. And it's believable mostly because it's coming from her. Meaning that we've created this stereotype that makes it acceptable for people that look like us to come on pointing in that regard, or it's untrue and disheartening and disappointing in that regard. So it's like we can't have shit. We can't have it. Can't give them benefits, they use it. And it's not just to use it, it's the vulnerabilities. We exploit shit. But it's like, yes, you do need the help when you have a kid. But should you have 8 kids to get a check? No. But we have to have these conversations with the next generation. Because when they see this lady living good and she got a whole big ass family full of kids, they're thinking she's richer than she's ever been. And as they turn 18, she starts to phase off of their child support and their benefit, whatever the kids are worth, and never took the time to do anything else other than that. She's going to be very sad at that point. So I hope this, I don't know. If you do it 8 times, I don't think you're going to learn that one. But maybe she'll be better at saying, hey, little boys, little girls, don't do what mommy did. I don't know. Seems like she might push it, though, if she's living good. I guess hurt people, right? So, guys, I'm getting ready to get out of here because, as usual, I got shit to do. Apologize for any of the early on technical issues. There was a whole thing going on with the second stream because you guys are great. You guys are great. You like to have a good conversation. Doesn't have to be all attacking and calling people names and all that. We want to talk about it. I want to talk about the fact that, you know, the American culture, in my opinion, we forgot about black people. That's why we can vote 90% in the direction and still lose in a landslide. It's not even versus our information and our conversation and how we stick together that way. Because expecting Trump to sign some massive executive order that just gives black people a bunch of stuff, that's not going to happen. Everything he's going to do is going to be based on how much people make. So if you make a lot, you'll get this. If you don't make a lot, you don't get that. And unfortunately, more people who don't make a lot are people of color. But if you want to be 100% honest with that, raw numbers wise, no, that's not true. It's just a larger segment of our population is under the poverty line. But if you want to do raw numbers, like if you want to say there's more white people that use food stamps and stuff like that than there are black people, because there's just more of them. So raw numbers wise, there's still more of them that are poorer than us. And we still don't have nothing anyway, so we can't talk about that shit. But anyway, guys, it has been fun. It's been awesome. I know it's been a crazy week, and I got 2 more shows this week. I think Saturday and Sunday we're doing a show. So make sure that you're getting the notifications. Make sure that you're checking out the shorts. And if you get one of the videos that's in horizontal, watch that joint, because it's really just there for the horizontal people. And the vertical stuff is for the short. We'll figure that out. But I'm hoping that I do get an opportunity to cover additional media, additional topics that aren't as politically based. But right now, it's a very politically hot time. And we need to be paying attention to things because everybody's signing shit. And that's how stuff gets signed and we don't know about it because we weren't paying attention. So we might as well pay attention to it for a little bit till it calms down a little bit. Then once it calms down, then we can talk about a few other things and we can get back to trying to pick up the culture. Because there's way bigger fish to fry than whether or not dudes are using bathrooms that aren't of their gender. Like, okay, quick conversation, get that shit off the table. Whatever you're going to decide it and be on with it. Because we got other stuff to talk about. We got families that are really in need. We have people that are really in need. We have businesses, small businesses, that are really in need. And if we could just take a moment to start focusing on that, that would be awesome. Because that's where the help is really needed. And I'm hoping that in the country. Because if we keep fighting about the same old goofy shit, we're not going to move in any direction at all. We'll just stay stagnant and watching informationally, okay? Check out some of the stuff that's going on. Check out these stories. Debunk them yourself. Do some research. It's actually pretty fun. The new AI stuff, that stuff is crazy. But you can utilize it to get all the information you need. Because if you're out here operating on half information, you're not really operating correctly. You're operating in the realm of the bullshit.